Live here. I'll do a countdown from 15 to 8, and I'll do a silent count from 7 to 0, and I'll play the intro, and then we go in.
Perfect.
Okay. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. The Super Bowl in the American Football Conference runs through Kansas City. And of course, there's a lot of teams looking to knock out the team and derail that road. But before then, the Kansas City Chiefs will be able to look back and sit back and watch some of the chaos happen on a Super Wild Card weekend. But hi, I am Earl Holland here to talk with you for another Sports Refuge live stream podcast. And with me to talk about the top seeded Kansas City Chiefs is longtime Kansas City Chiefs fan, Jeffrey McCoy. And Jeffrey, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on the show. Hey, I made it through without slipping up and calling you your brother's name. So that's great.
I think last time that's what happened when we did this a couple years back, but I'm happy to be back on again and talk about my Chiefs. I'm excited every year when football season starts. So,
yeah, and I always ask everybody these questions as we go into it, but it's exciting. And, after a couple of weeks ago with the concern with Damar Hamlin, and everybody was, basically waiting with bated breath to find out whether he would survive. And I think now is a little bit of a relief, and people can actually get back to the game without, worrying about that story, which has been something that captivated the whole nation.
yeah, for sure. I think a big thing is my wife's actually from Buffalo, New York, so she's a big Bills fan, which that causes some strife in the house during football season. But we were watching the game and we seen what was going on, and obviously she had a big concern. I had a big concern too about it, but outside of the game of football, it was just one of those moments where we just seen it and it was like, things are bigger than football, but we still appreciate the game. We appreciate what these guys go out there and do and put their bodies on the line and their lives, obviously. So, glad to hear that he's doing well and excited to see his team do what they're going to do.
The one question we always ask everybody when it comes to these interviews is, how did you become a Chiefs fan, and how long have you been a Chiefs fan?
So I've probably been a Chiefs fan for 20 years, since I was 16. So I'm 38, about to be 39. So almost 23 years. Became a Chiefs fan. Father was in the military. So Kansas City was the last place that I was with him and my mother before they passed away. And, that's the place that I love to call my second home, even though I don't remember it much. I was very young, but, when I decided to pick a team when I got older, all my family were Cowboys fans. Never understood that with us being in Maryland. And I was like, I'm going to be a Chiefs fan. Little did I know I was going to go through a lot of heartache for a couple of years, but it paid off in the long run.
Expectations going into the season, I know after the loss in the AFC Championship game, there had to be a little bit of maybe a little bit of concern and thinking, okay, it's maybe a little blip on the radar. And things are back to normal. No real injuries, no real major changes in staff. But what were you hoping as a Chiefs fan coming into the new season?
Obviously, before preseason, a lot of things transpired in our division. a lot of pickups at other teams, with Devontae Adams, Russell Wilson, us losing Tyreek Hill, couple defensive players on the Chargers that they picked up, I believe Khalil Mack and the guys like that. And, all the predictions were saying, oh, we're going to be a third or fourth place team in our own division. And my thoughts were, we just ran 4 AFC championship, hosted them, and why will we drop down so low? But obviously there's still a concern because you got to think about those things because those weren't small pickups. And then as the season progressed, we seen how that transpired, and we're back on top like we're supposed to be. But I never doubted that we weren't going to make the playoffs. But obviously there was a concern about whether we were going to end up at the top seed again like we normally were hosting.
Was there a point in the season that you knew, okay, Kansas City's back, there's no issue, just cruise into the postseason?
I think it was like either the first or second game. No, it was the game we played the Chargers. When I seen how they handled that game, that let me know that we were back and ready to go. It was a close game. Our defense stepped up. Obviously, our rookie cornerback, he had that 100-yard touchdown return. That just showed me that in crunch time we can still play with the best of them. And I think that kind of solidified, okay, yeah, we're going to make the playoffs, but are we ready for it? And that kind of solidified it for me early on.
Was there a time you ever felt concerned that they weren't going to make the playoffs?
Never. Like I said, the 4 AFC in a row. Patrick Mahomes is still the quarterback in Kansas City, and as long as he's there, I don't see us not making the playoffs for a long time. Not to mention Travis Kelce.
Looking at the playoffs and knowing you have the bye in the first round, who's the team that you feel like you match up the best with in the AFC?
Match up the best with an AFC. If I had to look at who's in there right now as far as the easiest win, I know a lot of my Maryland folks are gonna be mad at me, but right now Baltimore, we have a great record against them, regardless. And if we were to get to playing them, I think that will be a easier win for us than a lot of the other AFC teams that are in. Them and even the Jaguars, I would say, actually, I would put the Jaguars below Baltimore in regards to just they're young and, they're hot right now, but I don't think that they would match up with us when it came to playoff time just due to inexperience.
Who is the team that worried you the most in the AFC field? Is it Cincinnati? Is it Buffalo? Buffalo getting the regular season win over Kansas City early on. Which of those teams scares you the most as a Chiefs fan?
Bengals. And I know it's easy to say the Bills, but Bills are a little banged up right now. My wife's gonna, probably hurt me after she hears this later on about me saying it's not the Bills, but I would say the Bengals just for the simple fact that we haven't beat them when it mattered at all. Like, Joe Burrow has a perfect record against Patrick Mahomes right now, and that's something to think about. Would I like to see them and beat them in the playoffs? Definitely. I think that would be validating to the team. It would help out a lot because it's not like we lost by large margins, and then a lot of times we had leads on them. So I think we just need to do that to get over that hump, whether we do it in the playoffs this year or whether we do it during a regular season, because they did get another win on us this season as well in a close game.
And looking at this season, and everybody was thinking, okay, there might be a little bit of a drop off with the departure of Tyreek Hill. Do you feel like the Chiefs went under the radar this year? I mean, it's hard to go under the radar when you're the best team in the AFC, but did you feel that?
I felt like early on there was a lot of chatter about it, and then I think that because of the fact that we did lose to the Bills early, and we lost that game. So once we lost the game to Indy, which was a game we shouldn't have lost, but we did end up losing that game. I think that game kind of put everybody not really thinking about us in that regards, just because we had lost to a team that a lot of people consider not a great team. So I think that put us under the radar for the simple fact, and obviously we're not having Tyreek Hill, but Mahomes quietly put up a 5,040 touchdown season. this year. So if that's a quiet season and not making a lot of noise, I don't know what is.
Hey,
you froze up on me, boss.
Oh yeah, no problem. I was just saying, what do you think the Achilles heel would be? It doesn't seem like there's much of a, uh, a weakness that Kansas City has.
Our defense. At the end of the day, our defense has always been our issue. We're young. I look at it like this: with the way these receivers are allowed to play, and you can't really touch them and stuff like that. Our defensive back core, we got about 4 or 5 rookies on our defense this year. So I think that's the only concern for me, is because haven't been in the playoffs with us before. Our team's been in the playoffs, but those rookie defenders, there's a chance that can have a little bit of exposure on it, or they can step up to the plate. But I think that's the only thing that I have a little reservation about, is those rookie defenders.
Looking at the Well, before we go into that, I was thinking one more question we can ask is, with if Andy Reid gets another Super Bowl, do you think this might be the end of the run for him? At least this would be a way to go out.
Not at all. I think it's one of those things where Andy Reid, I think he wouldn't know what to do if he wasn't coaching football at this point, and he's going to coach until he can't coach anymore. I feel like he's one of those guys that's just like that. Um, because I don't see who he would have replace him. As good as Eric Bieniemy is, I hate to say it, but there has been a little bit of strife between him and Mahomes. Sometimes you see it, so I don't know if that's like the heir apparent to coaching the Chiefs right afterwards. And obviously with him trying to get a head coaching job, which I don't know how he doesn't have one yet. I don't know what they would do there, and I think Mahomes has to get a little bit older, a little bit mature, where he can kind of run the team, no matter who the coach is, getting to that point before Andy Reid was to leave.
And we start going into the prediction for the Super Bowl. Who do you have coming out of the AFC? Who do you have coming out of the NFC? What is the final score of the game, and who is the winner?
So I have the Chiefs coming out of the AFC. The surprise there. A lot of good teams there, but I have the Chiefs coming out. And this is a hard one for me, because I have like a dark horse Super Bowl prediction, and then I have like my actual Super Bowl prediction. My actual Super Bowl prediction, I'll say, is the Eagles. And as far as the score of the game, I think it's going to be a high scoring game, like a 38 to 34 type game. Weird numbers, like, what I mean, some crazy stuff on the defense is going to happen, but having the Chiefs win, of course, but possibly even like a 42-34 game, but something along those lines with that. And just to toss my dark horse prediction in here, I say the Bucks out of the NFC.
It's funny. Everybody talks about, don't count Tom Brady out, and these weird situations. I mean, this might be the easiest way. You start with Dallas, and then you work your way up, and just hope. I mean, you're eventually either going to run through either San Francisco or Philly, because everybody's already discounted the Vikings. So I mean, but San Francisco, Philly, the teams.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, I don't know who they would play next. It probably would be the 49ers if they win. I guess the Bucks would, or would they play the Philly?
It depends. I guess they would Philly, barring some weird upset with the Seahawks, but yeah, they would play Philly. If the Seahawks, yeah, unless they play, unless the Seahawks throw a wrench into all that, they would probably play Philly next.
Gotcha. Okay. So, yeah, it's a weird one, but yeah, I would say I would definitely. But in all honesty, I'm thinking the Eagles are going to go all the way. I think Jalen Hurts is getting healthy, and I think he was healthier than expected, but they didn't need him to play, so they let him sit. And I think he's going to come in, and he's been a stud this year. Obviously, the MVP chase has been between him and Mahomes. I would even say that it's hard to count Mahomes out, because he did put ridiculous yards. But what Jalen Hurts did for the Eagles team, he definitely was their most valuable player. But you can look at both teams, and if you take either one of them off of them, they're not the same team. And we've seen that with the Eagles. We didn't get to see that with the Chiefs, but we already know if Mahomes isn't on the Chiefs, they don't look nowhere near the same.
And as we wrap this up, do you want to have any shout outs you want to give? And what are ways people can reach out to you on social media to talk with you about Chiefs football or anything?
Well, on my social media on Facebook, it's under J McCoy, Jay, and my last name MCCOY. If you're already friend on there, we're probably talking already. But if you want to follow Instagram, King T50, as you see in the corner there, that's my Instagram handle and my Twitter handle.
I'm curious, how did that name come up for your Instagram and Twitter?
So, shout out to Sam Cook. He's probably not on here, but him and Thomas Ballard, when we used to work at Harvard Manufacturing, I was a tester there, and my testing stamp was T50, and they actually started calling me that as my nickname. So, and then of course King is just what it is. So King T50 is how I came from a handle from being a tester, and my test stamp was T50. And it was the reason why they joked about it because everybody else's test stamps were either a single digit number except for my big, and mine was like jumping all the way up to 50 for whatever reason.
Jeffrey McCoy, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. I really do appreciate it. For everybody who's been watching, thank you guys for sticking with me tonight, doing all these games, giving you the rundown. We have a batch of interviews throughout this rest of this week that I can go over before we run this out and before we end this broadcast. Coming up on Wednesday, here's who we have. I have interviews. I will be talking with Brian Sutton. We will talk the New York Giants. And then at 8 o'clock, Jared Scheibelin, we will be talking 7:45, that is. We will be talking San Francisco 49ers football. And then at 9 o'clock, we will be talking Bengals with Rich Wills. And then on Thursday, we have at 8 o'clock talking the Buffalo Bills with Corey Schuyler. And at 8:45, talking Minnesota Vikings with David Krause. And then coming up Friday the 13th, I know it's the unluckiest time, at 7 p.m., talking Byron Taylor about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Stephanie Williams at 8 p.m. with the Baltimore Ravens. We're still trying to get those Chargers and Jaguars fans in the mix so we can get this all done to have all these teams, and we're just short too. If you can, just reach out to us. We have our Eagles schedule too. We're going to get that up there once we get that going. But again, for my guest, Jeffrey McCoy, I am Earl Holland saying thank you guys for listening. Have a wonderful night. And again, we'll be back at this on Wednesday.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good one.